At first, there was a trembling, not in the air, but somewhere deep inside, at very axis of his own time, so subtle it could have been mistaken for an illusion, a random twitch of a nerve that would soon pass, but it lingered, settling somewhere between the beats of his heart. A faint scraping, as though someone had drawn a fingernail across a taut membrane stretched inside his skull. In the silence of the apartment, the sound grew, swelled, became a whisper like the breath of someone standing just behind him. Yet no one was there. The outside world still existed, but it seemed far away, blurred by a layer of frosted glass. The air in the room felt thicker, slower, saturated with something that dulled sound and stretched time. The glow of the computer screen lit the half-dark, casting colors that had no names, as if they belonged to a spectrum invisible to ordinary eyes. Lines of code streamed downward, but at times they seemed to breathe, to pulse, as if carrying blood instead of electricity. The project, in its original form, was simple enough to simulate Penrose's TWISTOR structure in a virtual environment. Equations, vectors, transformations, all meant to stay within the safe borders of mathematics. But with each execution, the program left behind a strange residue, trembling fingers, a subtle unease, the sense that his gaze passed through the screen in both directions, as though the code were watching him. Then came the images, not dreams, transmissions from somewhere that ran parallel to reality. Tunnels twisted into spirals, whirling points of light arranging themselves into grids that dissolved the moment he tried to comprehend them. Something moved within those structures, figures blurred, always turned away as if waiting to face him at the right moment. He could no longer say whether the code was generating the images or the images generating the code. Functions in the program began to bear names that sounded like incantations. Zeta Psi, Null Ray Self, Penrose Dream. Each time he launched them, the monitor became an aperture to another geometry, fractal corridors with walls pulsing like the tissue of an eye, spirals dragging him into endless planes. Hours vanished as he stared, transfixed. Days and nights began to blur together. Variables in the code referred not only to numbers, but to his impulses, memories and fears. He sensed that his heart beat in rhythm with generated structures. In the simulation, time split in two directions, at once past and present layered over each other, weaving a dense, impenetrable braid. There were moments when sequences appeared on the screen that he had never written. In the logs he found fragments of sentences in a language he didn't know, yet somehow understood. One word repeated itself like a refrain. Point, not as a position in space, but as an event where the boundary between observer and observed dissolves. Soon he felt the presence in the room, even with the computer off. His reflection in the mirror lagged behind his movements, as if something or someone were replaying his gestures with a delay of a heartbeat. Behind closed eyelids, just before sleep, he saw networks of points connecting and disappearing in sequences resembling equations. The night the simulation reached singularity, a closed loop in which every function referred only to itself. He understood he had become one of those points, a pure transition between space and time, formless, immersed in a current that knew no direction. His senses fell away like worn-out interfaces. Everything unfolded at once, now and then, near and infinitely distant. Neighbors later recalled the light seeping out from under his door. None dared to knock. The computer kept running for several days, displaying a slowly turning form, a geometry no human hand could draw. Some claimed that staring at it too long made them hear the echo of a foreign breath inside themselves, rhythmic like the ticking of a clock from another universe. When the screen finally went dark, there was nothing left to switch off. Yet the room still carried the weight of something that had not departed, something that perhaps had never been just code.